Did anybody see, I think it was yesterday, there was a guy, it was called Peter, he was 61 years old, and he was put in prison for 2 years for his actions at the riots the other month. And apparently, unfortunately, he's taken his own life in prison. I think his story is super interesting. So you know how I bang on stream? You know how I bang on stream all the time about the problem that we have with conspiracy theory in the UK and how Reform UK has become the political wing of the conspiracy theorist movement. This is the sign that he was holding at the protest. All corrupt MPs by the World Health Organization, Davos, NASA, WFO, WEF, Vanguard, BlackRock, Environmental Agency, police chiefs, TV media, judiciary, judges, deep state, heads of civil service, reporters, and some things that have rubbed off. You don't end up essentially believing that the entire world is out to get you unless you're sick. Like, this man is ill. And I talked a lot on stream as well about the fact that there is a group of people which capitalism was sold as an ideology, that they accept as an ideology, and they can't accept that it's failing. Most of these people are in the 50 to 65 age bracket, because they were the last people who really got the good boom out of capitalism in the way that millennials just kind of haven't. And because of neoliberal capitalism and the way in which that we didn't change the system when we could have done in the wake of 2008, the big kind of behemoth monster of corporate capitalism has eaten up all of the assets of the poor. The poor already know this. The poor already know that capitalism and corporate governance is going to eat away at the assets of all of the poor people in the world. And that's going to happen. It's already happened to us. We know that there's no point in trying to resist, and we know that capitalism is the problem. But if your whole life you've been sold that capitalism is correct, you've been sold the Cold War politics of capitalism being the end of history, and you can see it failing in front of you, you can see it failing in front of your eyes, how the rich are served by everybody, like the elite are who are in control, right? But you can't understand that this isn't a group of the Legion of Doom, evil fifth columnists trying to destroy your world. It's the bourgeois. If you don't realize it's the bourgeois, it's the systemic problem, the systemic issue of the material relations under capitalism. You have to find someone to blame. And conspiracy theorists online, mostly people who want to be able to get AdSense revenue on YouTube, or people who want to be able to reify the fact that they can't understand why capitalism is collapsing. And so they have essentially created an entire Legion of Doom. The people who are responsible for everything. Because again, most people who support capitalism fundamentally have a liberal outlook, an individualist outlook rather than a systemic outlook. They cannot possibly comprehend the idea that there is something wrong with the system. And be anything wrong with the system. What is wrong is that somebody is undermining the system that you already have faith in. It's exactly the same. Remember how in the QAnon video about flat earthers by Folding Ideas, they talk about the big tent conspiracy theory that is QAnon and how what Trump's going to do is save the country. There's no Trump figure for them to latch onto. But all of the enemies that Trump is theoretically against, they've all essentially internalized as being the people who are to blame. And there you see a list of the things that he believes are to blame. Again, rather than selling this man a solution, they've sold this man a fucking evil supervillain group of people who are all in control, who are all to blame for everything. You say individualistic outlook, I say Rand-induced psychosis. Exactly, yeah, that's a good point. Deep state, a nebulous enemy. I think the accusations of the World Economic Forum being communists is very telling. They believe in capitalism so much that its greatest advocates saying things that are clearly messed up can't be the capitalism that they've been raised with. Exactly. It's because I've opened on this channel. I criticize the World Economic Forum all the time. I think the World Economic Forum are bad, but they're not bad because they're communists who want to control everybody because they believe in like a climate cult or whatever. No, they're capitalists who want to make money. That's what they are. They are capitalists acting in the interest of capitalism. It's a systemic problem with bourgeois relationships, the proletariat under capitalism. Nothing to do with Klaus Schwab wanting to make you eat the bugs. I feel sorry for this guy. I really do feel sorry for this guy. Especially if I think this guy was in Rotherham especially, where the whole society was destroyed by Thatcherism, and yet you can't understand that it was neoliberal capitalism that's fucking to blame for that shit. And so you're blaming immigrants, and then you're blaming this kind of hodgepodge, catch-all big tent of all of the potential enemies of the state. Literally, you think there's a new world order, and you can't just understand that it's just the fucking rich. It's just the bourgeois. Like, it's just rich people that are the problem. It's wealth inequality that's wrong. It's capitalism that's wrong. Because BlackRock and Vanguard are bad. They're owning the assets, right? One of the biggest things you get from people who hate the World Economic Forum, who think that they are somehow the evil villains in their cartoon story they believe that life is now. The people who really hate the World Economic Forum, they keep saying, oh, well, the thing is with the World Economic Forum is that they think that you should own nothing and be happy. They want to take away everything. That's communism. And no, it's capitalism. It's rentierism. They want to own everything and rent it back to you because it is profitable for them to do so. I have seen, I shit you not, landlords say the World Economic Forum are evil because they want to own everything and then rent it to you, when that's literally what landlords do. They own things and rent them back to poor people. Like, these people aren't mad at the World Economic Forum because of the relationship between the World Economic Forum economically. They hate the World Economic Forum because they are the big fish eating the smaller fish. It's the 5% getting mad at the 1%. It's exactly the same people who get into, like, crypto, which is what Dan Olson says at the end of his video about NFTs. That it's the 5% getting angry at the 1%. Who thinks that the problem with neoliberal capitalism is that there are not enough opportunities to be the boot. They're not mad at the World Economic Forum because it's going to create a gigantic wealth divide between the rich and the poor. They're mad because the World Economic Forum is the boot that they wish they were. How can we break through to these people, though? They identify the issue in sometimes the correct enemy but miss the root cause. They blame BlackRock but then defend the system that allows BlackRock to do what it does. I don't know. I mean, this is why I want to post lots of, like, World Economic Forum content. Because I know that it's good for the algorithm. I know that if you talk about, you know, what was it fucking called? The Great Reset or whatever, the World Economic Forum. You know, people will watch you and listen to you because it's like the conspiracy theory du jour. And we just have to get it through to people to not have liberal analysis, to have Marxist analysis, to have materialist analysis. And they say, oh, well, our government has been compromised by these corporations. And I'm like, yeah, that's how capitalism works. Capitalism requires a state to function. Capitalism has always required a state to function, right? Whether or not it's democratic or not, whether it's democratic or technocratic, the people who are going to have the ear of the government are the rich and the powerful. In the wise words of Vladimir Lenin, democracy for an insignificant minority, democracy for the rich, that is the democracy of a capitalist society. And they say, oh, we want to give the government more power. And I'm like, yeah, because if the government owns more of the economy, they have to listen to the private sector and to the businesses less. If the government owns it, you means you part own it. It's publicly owned. If the government is only there to set up markets, which is how people conceive of the government in a post-neoliberal world, they can't understand what government ownership would entail. They think, oh, we want the government to do more. That's adding more power to people who are owned by the elites. But the elites are only the elites because they own the fucking stuff. If the state owns the things, those rich people are going to be less rich and going to be less of elites. They're not going to be the elite anymore. Conspiracy theorists killed this man. This man is dead because conspiracy theorists destroyed his brain. Literally watching some fucking guy getting mad. Hey, Barbie Agitprop, thank you for the follow. But there was literally some guy that we watched getting mad about some kind of traffic policy on Talk TV, and he had his own YouTube channel. And like you could just search for World Economic Forum immediately, right? The World Economic Forum agenda, as if, you know, having traffic filters is somehow the agenda of a secretive cabal of people who want to destroy you, rather than a set of material interests and conditions. And then him being put in prison in his worldview is the ultimate confirmation of his entire worldview. It's bad, isn't it? Like, that's why you see, like, so many people who are part of this fucking brain poison are out here going, well, if we're being sent to prison by Keir Starmer, by two-tier Keir, that only proves it even more that we are the people who are being destroyed by the system. And I'm like, no, you just committed crimes, so you got sent to prison. But they don't see themselves as being the kind of person who would go to prison. It's why the two-tier policing myth is so prevalent. Because when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. It's literally what they're feeling like. I can't believe the police are treating me like I think they should be treating people from minority backgrounds. Remember that woman from January the 6th? That woman from January the 6th? Who got filmed on camera, said, we're doing a revolution, but they maced me. And I'm like, the police are doing their actual job to you, but you don't think that they're there as nothing other than a tool to oppress those who fall outside the in-group you believe you're a part of. Again, going back to the conservatism, the only one principled by writ is that there should be in-groups that the law protects but does not bind, and there should be out-groups that the law binds but does not protect. Dan Olson's series on, again, the kind of right wingers who get into crypto and NFTs and into the GameStop short squeeze. All of these people are people who genuinely believe capitalism is good, and they can't find a reason as to why it's failing. He's done a whole series of videos, like it started with the NFTs video, then talking about Decentraland and the metaverse, and moving on to Apes Together Strong. Like that kind of trilogy of videos covering the kind of people who believe full-heartedly in capitalism but can't understand why it's failing, thinking central banks are the problems, we get into crypto, but also we need to ensure that the big businesses, we destroy them by holding the bag of like the GameStop stock as if that's going to make them rich. Not because they want a better world, but because they want to be individually rich, right? They want to punish the corporations for beating them to the punch, not because they want a more equitable society, right? All of these groups of people are all entirely kind of summarized neatly by this fucking sign. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership to just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.